The Speaking House is New Earth education schooling. It's a new kind of school based on the best of the alternative system and the human being as a soul first. Ooh, a child as a soul. And we're living in a time where the soul itself is being downgraded beyond extremes. Never before have we seen this utter wreckage of the divine nature of humanity taking place, with all things artificial supplanting or wanting to supplant the human. And part of that story is the horrific abuse of children that has been going on for thousands of years. And now that it is being uncovered piece by piece, more and more people are grasping what has actually happened with their fellow brothers and sisters of humanity. Two things are happening. The greater denial, the extreme capture of humans into a Saturnian box of technological matrix forever enclosed away from their spirit. It's that extreme. Or the other of finding ways to heal. At the Speaking House, as it is all about opening and expanding the actual spirit, the actual soul of every single child, this is an episode about how we heal our children who have been assaulted, abused, and terrorized in ways that I'm not even going to go into in this, but sexual assault, torture, deepest child abuse can actually be healed. It's just that mostly it isn't. Think of the beautiful testimony of Kathy O'Brien. Some very simple approaches which are very powerful, because children are in a way simple. They need to be loved, which means to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, to be witnessed, and then eventually to be held. With many of these children, you can't even go near them yet. So the processes I'm going to talk through, you will find, are about enabling a damaged individual to be able to once more trust another human being, and eventually to find their way into their full soul strength once more. I also want to say something about beauty. The Speaking House is a beautiful place. It is a place that is of education, of learning, but it's through a celebration of nature, all things natural. Most of the materials for learning, for experimental play and experiential learning, come from the actual grounds. They're grown, they're provided, they're dug out, they are refined on site, in the place. And it is a beautiful place, because beauty is not just in the eye of the beholder, it is something divine. Look at a flower, and if you have any sensitivity, you will light up when you see a flower. In the same way, you'll light up when you see someone smile with genuine warmth. This is our divine heritage, our divine inheritance, and beauty is an enormous part of the healing journey. Put children who are damaged into a garden with flowers, with birds, with insects, small mammals and larger ones, animals to look after, and you will find that alone is an enormous proportion of their healing, and we have abandoned that for our beautiful human souls, putting them in ugly cities, people forgetting what is their divine birthright, which is this glorious earth. So join me as I walk you through the slides I've prepared. There are specific sensitivities for sexually harmed children. First of all, the physical startling. They really cannot be touched. They can't bear touch. Many can't bear sound, voice, light. Almost anything and everything can be a trigger, and they will curl into themselves and run away, scream, fight, be aggressive, whatever it is to keep the danger, perceived danger, away. Physical distancing, that's what they'll do. Keep away from others, trustworthy or not, other children or not. They have been so harmed. There is a physical lockdown within the body where all the systems, the muscles, the organs become tight. Abused children are very often small. Their very cells don't dare to take space. They have been so crushed on an emotional level, and our job is also to expand that. Then you have vocal suppression. Children so closed, so terrified that they don't speak anymore, or when they do, it's barely a word, a squeak of a voice, or even in milder forms. I know this from myself with my suppressed, not sexual abuse, but suppressed childhood. I didn't dare speak in full sentences, so I know how deep this can run. Then you have the shredded confidence, and that is endemic to most abused children. Total sense of valuelessness within them. And they often have a hard front, an aggressive hard front, which is really covering a depleted self-worth. This, of course, leads to negative expectations on every side. They don't know how to expect anything good to happen to them. That needs to be reversed if they're to be healed and return to their full soul self. And, of course, all of the emotional trust trust, and the ability to discern who is good, what intentions are right or even real, that is broken. So all of this needs to be healed and addressed and soothed. When children are healed, they are able to be relaxed once more in the presence of others. They're no longer terrified and starting from those they do not know. They have a sense of self-protection, and they have a calm starting to permeate their aura, their energy body. They gradually move away from their state of high adrenalized panic and terror. The whole system calms down. They come to know their innate worthiness. These processes help them to reconstruct positive expectation. Those who were born with that have no idea of the treasure chest of that and how hard it is to regain that. The damage inflicted upon them disables any expectation of good. And so unless that on the deepest level of the psyche is addressed, that child may be possibly physically healed, but their lives will never amount to much. You have to go right into the very core and reconfigure with their loving help and with our loving support. So we have to neutralize and overcome the terror first. This physical startling. There are many ways to do this. Sound is very important. Use sound, self-created, in acoustic spaces, different spaces. Allow a child who is suffering to just literally make different sounds. Doesn't need to be any structure, any language. Record their voice and play it back to them gently so they can witness where they are. They need to be able to perceive themselves as a self, for all of that has been eroded from them and stolen. Use this process of allowing expression and recording and listening to gently get them used to uttering sound and establish a sense of comfort with hearing their own self, their own voice. You can use very simple party games. We're used to them as musical statues, where you turn music on and then you turn it off. You can use that with their spoken or recorded vocal sounds, vocalizations. It's a stopping and starting. It enables them to start to have some sense of self-control, some sense of mastery in a situation. In the same way, very, very gentle hide and seek, hiding. They would have hid to protect themselves. Allow them to hide in a beautiful place and gently find them. Sometimes you go to the point of terror and you turn it into the most delicate, gentle experience, and you work piece by piece from that. And that way the terror is transmuted into a lighter emotional form. Eventually you get to the fun, because children are never quite that far away from it as adults are. They're still very fluid the way their divine energy moves through them. And if you allow and enable and support them, they can process rapidly. There's this huge distortion and confusion of what love is when sexuality is brought to a child. They're told things in the adults grooming them, and it may not be even that gentle. We're talking about tortured children. There are so many. But this definition between what is love, what is a loving touch, is completely lost, broken, and turned inside out and upside down. It's very important to begin to play with trust. Use games where there is no touch necessary. Use games where the child can be perceived to be ugly and still be worthy. Remember, most of these children have been admonished, debased, tortured, told they are nothing or worse, and they truly believe it because the fear has run through their body, adrenalizing it and cementing it into their muscles. So you need to find ways that they can slowly start to understand they have the ability to trust once more. So distance, keep your distance. This is a good one. Play a game where you mark out the safety region of a distance. You could play it on grass with stones and you put a circle around, and you can expand the circle or contract it. Remember the 6-foot spacing that we had during that absurd lockdown? Play with that idea of safe distance or not, but let the child set the tone. Eventually they will welcome you in as they are able to perceive you are not a danger. As these children begin to expand and increase their ability to stretch beyond their misery, and the adults looking after them are trained and trustworthy, not forcing, not pushing, but inviting, always gentle, you need to play the game of extreme emotion acceptance. This is using role play, it's using improvisation. You have cards with all kinds of words on them. They can be done through cards and reading, or the child may not be able to read. So you speak, you explain what each one means. It might might be represented as a symbol. And then each child in their turn is encouraged to make that sound, to be that emotion, however huge and ghastly it may be. In fact, the others should encourage the child to express as deep and wide and broad as possible. Now, of course, you can imagine this is best done outside or in a large room. Anything, all of the darker, stronger emotions should be done this way so that the child is able to move the energy blocked within their body through the sound. Sound is the traveling of energy. It is a point focused in the consciousness, exercised through the muscles, and the louder you are, the more muscles you're using to project your voice. It allows the muscles to shake through a lot of the vibration of terror and suppression. Then when you have an audience, the group of children, each experiencing this, they will encourage a little deeper, a little greater, and this sound can be released. All of these games are so that a child can be reassured of their intrinsic value. That is what has been stolen from them. Here's a game. What do I need to look like in order to be accepted or be loved, to be safe? What do I need to look like? Yes, isn't it amazing? Because the outward appearance is very often used and abused against the child. Now, you can do this with drawings. You can do this with dressing up from a great big costume box, with play on makeup. There's all kinds of ways to get to being whatever this child in their fantastical mind believes they need to be in order to be safe. Now, they may want to dress up as a caterpillar or a monster. Let them see them and allow them, witness them. And gradually they will choose different things as they feel safe to be what they need to feel in that moment. Of course, remember, never take any jip from a child. If a child starts to hit you, you have very firm ways of dealing with it. It's usually best to just back off, to bring the child into a smaller space until they can calm down, give them something good to drink, gently be with them and play some music, have soft light. And you will need to use these kind of soothing measures a lot. But this ability to project what they feel they are on the inside to the outside, and then let them be photographed and let them look. They're witnessing. They are bringing the inside, which is hidden, to the outside and seeing it. It is immensely alchemically transformative. The way these processes work is they do enable self-reflection. They enable witness. They enable experiences to be seen as real. It's as though they're being witnessed posthumously, witnessed by safety this time and by goodness, by adults supporting with no judgment, with no harm, and with no intent to cause harm, only with the intent to support and to love. Now that is what enables a transformation within each child, to unpack, to unfurl, to begin to trust, to be feeling safe. The idea of distance is very important. We can do it, as I said, with rings of distance, but you can also do it with throwing a ball, catching a ball very close, very far away. You can do it with touching. How near can you feel the other without touching them? The auric presence, the energetic frequency, electromagnetic frequency field around every single human. Play games with that. So it is a, how do I get close to somebody? You can do it with shouting. How far away do you need to be that you can still be heard when you whisper? How near do you need to be that a shout can still be heard? Play with distance. It's all about giving the child tools of safety once more, giving them their own sovereignty back. And add in tangible things such as maths and measuring. Use measuring tapes and rulers and calculations and paper and pens, because what you're doing is taking this intangible, this wild morass of emotional disturbance, and you're putting it into something calculable, witnessable, tangible. All of these are designed to bring the amorphous emotional landscape into sight, into understanding, into being witnessed. A child can feel their experiences being valued and understood. This way they can value and understand themselves. It's all about making this invisible visible. Assumptive games. What am I actually thinking? This helps with discernment and the ability to trust oneself and the others. You can play this in pairs or in a group. One person in the middle asks, what am I thinking? Everyone else writes down or calls out what they think is being thought. And then you get the result. It can be quite rowdy. It can be quite quiet, but it's about trusting intuition, tuning in to self and to the others, detecting the integrity of somebody. Are they lying or are they telling the truth? Are they saying what they mean or what they want you to believe. It's about understanding and recovering the tools of discernment. Now, I call this non-specific soothing, regenerating the self-esteem using drumming circles, drumming on the ground, clapping, real instruments. You have a variety of beats and you move through a whole landscape of different beats, and the children have to work with you. Because there are no verbal instructions, the only verbal instruction is follow me, follow the beat. There is a continuity, there is a community between everybody. This is again breaking down the barriers of rigidity, of terror, enabling trust, enabling slowly the tendrils of feeling, of sound to come through to the outer body, to the physical. And you do it by moving the body in this drumming, in this frequency. Even those who wish not to participate, just to sit, will still feel the vibration. It's very powerful. There's still no touch involved with the others. There's no speech involved with the others. It is sensory perception of hearing and feeling of the body, but additionally taking cues from sight as well as hearing. And it does engender this sense of belonging, even just for that time, without any push, without any force. This establishment of safe distance is so important. We all have an auric field through which we sense. We sense safe distance. You can tell if someone is looking at you from your spidey senses. I play it sometimes looking at the auric field of someone and then they turn around because they can feel it. We can use blind tag using closed eyes or using a small blindfold where the children slowly move until they do bump into each other. And then you mark the safe distance and you play again and again and again until it becomes fun and silly. And children are touching each other without thinking about it. This is about, again, regaining trust. You'd call it the gut extrasensory perception, the auric field sensing. It's a tool used from contact improvisation, but it's about being safe sensing when someone is near. Now, how do you increase a child's positive expectations when that has been utterly eroded and again their hope has been crushed? You can use a precise over and above game. This is where each child defines how they would like to be treated. And this is going to be fantastical and silly. They convey this through spoken word, they can write it out, they can draw it, they can act it out. Now, the job of the group, and they all understand this, is to deliver that and over and above. So if a child says they're going to be treated as a princess, then all of the group will treat them as the most extraordinary person in the universe. You can see how this is silly, it is fun, but it also allows a slight switch to take place in this field of what could I be? How could I feel? Could things work out for me? This is so that the child can truly experience what they've asked for and not the opposite of it. Children can also be encouraged to create a dream diary. Well, it's really a diary of their dream desires. Again, they can write it if they feel comfortable writing, or they can draw it, or someone else could draw it for them from a description. And then when it comes to pass, that is noted in that book. So each time they have a desire, they write it down, they notate it into their book. And each time it comes to pass, they witness that. Then they have a book in which this witness is tangible in front of them. It can be referred to again and again, a safety mechanism to reassure them you may have something better come to you. Something else that needs to be transformed are these shame-influenced bonding relationships. The Stockholm effect, the shame-pain, terrible, terrible relationships of codependency, and far worse. When a child is treated in an appalling way and made to feel shame for who or what they are, they bond against love. That needs to be replaced with trust, with goodness, with a safe partner. So the way we do this is a person in the group is chosen, or if they don't dare to choose a person in the group, they create a fantasy figure. They can have a pet rock, a doll, sometimes even a small animal, and they give that person or thing or animal anthropomorphic qualities. They have conversations. They do play acting, small improvisations, small stories, are encouraged to have conversations with them. This is going to be their trust figure. This kind of game is played over and over again until eventually the children dare to play with each other in this way. As they get to that stage, fantastical stories between the two of them are created. Who do you want to be? Who am I going to be? And what they get up to, and what they do, and what they conquer and discover and achieve. These are natural games for any primary school child, but for a child who's been injured, even if they're a teenager or a small person, these are essential. They are regaining their ability to use their imagination for good, to dare to express anything. And the ultimate goal is that they find the safe partner is themselves, and they can interact through choice, through expression of I desire, I wish, I would like with others. It's important to express that there is a huge amount of energy released when these kind of emotional stories are created. They can get as dramatic as possible in a good space, which will encourage that with the right sound, with the right holding of space, no leaky edges, a nice place for these adventures to be presented and acted out and performed. Then you have healing through play with natural unstructured elements such as water and plants and even animals. When you play with water, we know it's a cleansing essence naturally, but have natural or artificial rivulets, have streams of spray, have sand pits with all the natural components, water running through them, stones, crystal, earth, leaves, seeds and flowers. Allow this interaction with very basic organic elements for a child to just move energy through their body from their soul, their imagination, and eventually they will be playing with each other. But for starters, let them play with these very basic elements. Encourage them then to make and build things, because usually there'll be huge amounts of destruction, and that's fine to start with. But then piece by piece, encourage patterning and creation and making. And then nurturing. Plants need nurture. Small animals need nurture. Eventually they will get to the place where they're working with plants and processing them, harvesting them, making them into beautiful things and giving them as gifts to each other and using them. There is a whole arc of discovery piece by piece, but it needs to start with the most basic of elements first. And you'll find that there are many children with different stages of healing necessary. So have these on play in the prepared environment, which is how we will be structured. The same goes with the animals. There may be no possibility of real contact with an animal, but at least being a couple of meters, a few yards away from an animal already brings them a soothing, different kind of energy of contact. And slowly, piece by piece, caring for the animal, bringing food in for the animal, moving away the shit from the stalls, bringing in the hay, the straw, grooming them. Eventually they may be riding a pony or feeding them an apple, and slowly and slowly a friendship and a bond with another living being forms. How to rebuild this harmed human being into the healed self. Sound is a very important instrument for instigating this unstructured release of emotion. We've talked about it being inside in a good room with good acoustics or an outdoor space, but just encourage children to make sound as loud as they want or dare it to be. The place is conceived so that sound is allowed. Then they can process to more basic instruments, drums, big old bashy things, horn things, blowing, beating out rhythms, and eventually they can move to a more beautiful, harmonized acoustic space. Encourage them to use their voice in sound, single notes, notes joined together, the singing. Eventually you will get them and enable them to create their own songs. But piece by piece, this energy needs to be released, and sound is the internal motor to transform that. I've worked for decades on this. The idea with sound is you can use small pieces of recorded sound which a child can go back to and listen to. Again, they're witnessing who and what and where they are in order to hear their own existence. Their entire self-worth and beauty of themselves has been rubbed out and stamped upon with this emotional shouting, or achieved via speech and improvisation. That's the spontaneous movement of words, thought and ideas through from the soul, through the mouth, through the body. They gain some power. Make this in a small group, a string of sound. One character sets off another, or allow and encourage somebody to become a new character for 1 or 2 minutes long and just go for it with no censorship, with no judgment, just allowing. This kind of energy is the ultimate way of allowing the soul to sweep through the body and the mind and all of the emotional detritus collected into the body of this child. any of the children you're working with. And if it's hard to get anything going, all of the adults will know to work on it first, to demonstrate, to be an example. Silly and ridiculous, yes, but essential and vital. So the zero judgment of the characters expressed is important. It can be questioned, definitely, and discussed, absolutely. They may be ugly, ferocious, or beautiful and kind. This can be then followed through to writing, to drawing, to carry on to create an actual story of that character. This allows each child to move through and to start creating again. Even if it looks a dark story, let them create, let them move, and then take steps to allow them to express further, to move more of the dark energy out of their bodies, out of their minds. Eventually the system is flushed through and you'll get some of the light, joy, and natural creativity of the child coming through. So the adult's responsibility is always to check and to support each child's representation, each child's presentation. Now, some of them may be too triggering for the group and unsuitable for everyone to hear, so there may be divisions and different spaces used for different degrees of expression required. It's no good triggering someone who's just about left that stage. So each of the adults will be discerning and understand the realm of emotion, be able to feel in. This empathic sensing of the children is very important, as is the ability of the adult themselves to do the same processing. We don't want the adults to take on all the darkness and the sadness themselves. They must be active in this process too. So when spoken affirmations which have been written down are given, or declarations or commands of the spirit, or soothing stories from the new characters created by the child, when all of these are made, when they define who they would like to be, what they would like to have, what they would like to not have, as they get more and more verbal, they are building their own inner nurturer. They become their own teacher and witness. And all of these processes should always go back into the journal so that they have a witness to who and what they are and were, where they can move to and where they have come from, showing them the ability to move from disaster to safety. This is a very intense session. I hope you were able to take from that. I have so many slides I can share with you. You'll find them in detail in the other videos. And the next sequence I'm going to bring through is discussing all the alternative educational systems that I have embedded into the Speaking House, taking the very best from them and how we go beyond that too. I am Dr. Isabel M.A. This is activating all of our human potential as we need to. There's much to clear up on our beautiful planet to restore the divine soul presence within ourselves, to allow it to come through and be seen and witnessed and used once more and valued from our glorious natural world, and to bring back humanity as it should be, in loving presence as a divine being. Please do go to the fundraiser for the Speaking House. Give what you can, get on board with this. These are our schools, yes, for the future, but we need to start now. By no means are all children damaged like this, but the Speaking House should be a place where children who are can come and seek reparation. And 3 months of the year should be given over entirely to this. There are far too many children being ruthlessly hurt, and they need true, real, deep recovery. And that's definitely one thing the Speaking House will be providing.